It's not that difficult to be successful in business. It just takes a little patience. Those are the words of one NFL Super Bowl champion, and he borrowed it from the great Warren Buffett. You may have a clue who I'm talking about. Talking business with Ndamukong Suh. You're in the Enterprise Zone at the Nasdaq. Hello, everyone. This is Jabari Young here at the Nasdaq MarketSite, and you're in the Enterprise Zone. And I'm joined by Ndamukong Suh, former NFL defensive tackle, Super Bowl champion, played 13 seasons in the NFL with the Lions, the Rams, the Bucks, the Eagles, of course, and obviously now here, retired from football, ready to talk business. Ndamukong, thank you so much for joining the show, man. I appreciate it.
Jabari, you know I had to come show you some love, man. You showed me so much love on my podcast,
Absolutely,
so I appreciate you.
Yeah, man, most definitely. And for those people who don't know, I am a contributor to your podcast,
Yes.
No Free Lunch with The Athletic and the New York Times. Man, I thank you for having me. But in full transparency, you got to share with the audience. It's the very first time I got a chance to shake this brother's hand in person. I've been talking on the phone, interviewing him since 2021, and it's the very first time that we get a chance to meet in person here at the Nasdaq, man. So thank you.
It's an honor. Obviously, good to see you in the flesh, and it's been good. I think I want to say thank you again for allowing me to come here to the Nasdaq and spend some time with you. I feel like I've been here before because it looks familiar, but I just can't pinpoint the last time I was here. So I'm glad I got to come back.
Get when you come to the Nasdaq, man. I
mean, Times Square, there's a lot of things I've been up and down these streets.
Yeah.
So.
When you step back in New York, what is the feeling like, man? It's like, does that energy hit you?
The energy hits me, but New York, I love and hate because when I come here, I get a ton of business done. It's a lot of excitement, but it's long days. So it's like, I remember when I was a rookie, even when I was college, the Heisman that we had here, it was like, nonstop, charity stuff, events, interviews, all these different particular pieces, but New York is a time. The city does not sleep, and it's true.
Nah, man, I'm telling you, every time I cuss training all the time, and so when I walk up those steps and hit New York, it's like that thing smacks you right in the face, man.
For sure.
All that energy, man. Yeah. So, listen, I can't believe this is your first time here. That's very surprising. You had to have been here before.
I'm pretty sure I have been, but I just can't pinpoint when it was.
But all your connections, man, knowing Warren Buffett, y'all had to have been. You know what it was? You were probably so high in the tower, you didn't know you were in the building. You know what I mean? That's
fair. We'll go with that for now.
How's the boys, man? How's fatherhood?
Man, fatherhood is amazing. Thank you for asking.
4 years old, right?
4 years old, twin boys, Kingston and Kari. I was actually just looking at a photo on a project, on a piece of real estate that we're gonna make a little mural for them. And my son Kari, we were in our skid steer doing some work the other day, and he was like, "Man, Dad, what if we just made this the Kingston and Kari fire station?" So I'll have to follow up with a story on that one when it gets done. So
yeah. Being a dad, man, I'm telling you, it changed your perspective one thing. My daughter just turned 12 years old, and I look at pictures of her now when she was 4, and I'm like, where the hell did the time go?
I know. I mean, I just remember, my wife getting pregnant during the pandemic, them coming in 2021 right after we won the Super Bowl, and now they're 4. They got their whole mind, like they look at me now, we're doing this today. We're going to go do this today. I was like, it's completely different. So it's a great honor to obviously raise 2 strong black boys in this world, but I can't do it without my lovely wife, Katya. She's nonstop. She's actually out here with me running around taking care of some stuff for the family, and then we're going to meet up later on for dinner.
So you survived, because I know she was out at a bachelorette party, and you had the boys with your mother-in-law, your mom, but you had them. You had to survive, so you survived.
I survived. I had the community of the family around me to support me with the boys, but she had a bachelor party, then we had a wedding in Denver last weekend, so
I love it.
She had a busy August, and now I got a busy September, October, and November.
That's football's back, man. But before we even get into that, we are at the Nasdaq, so I always have to get people's stock. Give me a good stock that maybe Ndamukong Suh has been looking at. Something that works well, and I know you have a lot.
A good stock. I'm going to pub up my guy just because he just recently got the job, Nike.
Nike, okay.
Nike, I think, is going to be on a tear, not only because
it's a good time to get in now.
Yeah, I think it's very undervalued, and not only knowing the person at the helm and understanding what they're trying to build and create, especially from a sports marketing perspective with Ann Miller, but also the Jordan brand. I mean, the Jordan brand, to be inside Nike Inc., and you're the second largest shoe company behind Nike, you're the 2 powerhouses. Like that's amazing in itself. And we were just at the Board of Governors, or Board of Greatness, excuse me.
That's right. Is that the overseas trip?
Yes, over in Greece. And just talking about all the different numbers and what we're trying to build, it's exciting because I'm a Jumpman athlete and I love being a part of that and seeing what they're building around, especially Jalen Hurts, a Philly guy. It's going to be special. So Jumpman and the family are on a tear and looking to continue to go.
Yeah, I don't own any Nike stock, but I'm embarrassed.
None?
I just bought a pair of Air Max 1s the other day when I was in Texas. Like I went to the store and it's like, man, and I came back the next day. You know how they tell you, you go into the store, you think about it overnight, and if you get up in the morning, you go back and get it. I did that.
It's one of those things for me is like, why would people not invest in things that are authentic to them and what they breathe and live with every single day? And you're going to go and purchase it, whether it's Starbucks and Apple. Apple, obviously, because of the devices and the different things that you use. And so, like, for me, it just doesn't make sense of why not invest in something that I'm going to pay for regardless, but I also potentially get a dividend from it as well. So
yeah, them dividends look nice, man.
They do.
When we spoke back in 2021, I'll read you this quote, and you let me know if this is still the same.
Okay.
You said, I would say I'm a hands-on investor. I like to get my hands dirty. I like to add value, which is why I like to be an advisor to companies if I'm not a board member or a venture partner.
Yep.
Hands-on investor, getting dirty. Is it still that way?
1,000%.
Yeah.
Even more now because I've retired. I don't have to manage around football, which was fun, and I enjoyed every bit of it. But it was very tough when I'm sitting there in a meeting room having a conversation with you and then going into a business conversation on a Zoom, and then I got meetings right after it. But I can now lay out my time in a different manner, and to where I'm that much more hands-on. I really made the last 2 or 3 years. If I'm not hands-on it, I got to let it go.
Yeah.
And I can't be a part of it just because for me, I'd be behooving myself if I wasn't hands-on and a part of it, because I think I can add a lot of value and connectivity and things of that nature where you're creating synergies for the company to be successful, or I'm just getting work done. Like being on a construction site, physically doing the work, saving money that way.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, listen, when you're behind the scenes getting that work done, what's Ndamukong Suh's soundtrack to 2025? Like, what's been the music that you've been listening to that's keeping you motivated, that's keeping you creative, that's keeping the business ideas flowing?
Man, there's a lot of different music that I've listened to throughout the years that have kept me motivated. Top of my list, my wife will always laugh at this one, is Rihanna. She hasn't come out with any music recently, but I mean, there's a lot of different things. I go back to old albums, but I don't know, Burna Boy right now has really got me. His last album, like, my African beats, and maybe it's my dad that's saying, make sure you stay close to our roots, and him passing and whatnot is like, Burna Boy has been on the hit list right now.
Yeah, Burna Boy for me, Wizkid. Gunna's new project is dope.
Okay.
But you can't go wrong with some classic back in the day, type music. You know what I'm saying? So Rihanna, it's so funny. I was in a club or a lounge not too long ago, and the song SOS came on. I found myself beating my head like, I forgot how catchy this joint was.
Yeah,
you know
for sure. Yeah.
SOS, you can't beat it with Rihanna. Listen, man, when you walk into a 5th grade classroom today, and they say, well, what do you do, Mr. Suh? What do you tell them nowadays because you're retired from the NFL?
5th grade classroom, that's a great question. I think my explanation to those kids would be simply my job right now is to continue to build legacy. And part of that legacy is creating generational wealth, teaching my kids, let alone themselves if they want to learn, if they're eager to understand how I'm building things, sharing those experiences. And I think that's something in our world, especially in the schooling system, we don't allow our kids to have enough experiences, hands-on experiences. We want them to be about books, which are important, and I think there's a right time and right place, but to give them experiences and be able to take my 4-year-old kids over to the UK and have them go to museums and see how other people learn and how their different aspects of life works and seeing different cultures, I think that's huge.
Yeah, man, most definitely. Well, listen, man, before I hop into business, I got to get your opinion on week 1 in the NFL, right? We've seen a lot. The Parsons trade, man, you were kind of talking about that. The Eagles beat the Cowboys, the Chiefs fall to the Chargers, a lot of action. I saw, like, I'm leaving a spot last night. The score was like 40-25. I get back in the house, and the game is 31, and then they freaking the Bills beat the Ravens in a big comeback. What does Ndamukong Suh see in week 1 that maybe shocked you, surprised? I mean, it's too early to kind of call anything. A lot can still happen, but what in week 1 kind of surprised you?
Man, week 1, there's a lot of parity. I was just calling the Jets in Steelers match here in New York with Sky Sports, which was a lot of fun. Enjoyed every bit of that. But to be able to see Aaron Rodgers bounce back the way he did, then you talk about the Ravens, and they were having a dominant performance. Derrick Henry, 195 yards, 2 tugs, 1 small mistake that could have, obviously, potentially people would say lost the game, but really, in my opinion, didn't, because the defense had many times to get stops. Ultimately, I mean, the NFL this season is wide open. There's no clear-cut winner. And yes, Kansas City had a loss, but you can never count them out. And so overall, for me, I think we got to continue to watch the games, enjoy the games, And I think there's going to be a lot of interesting dynamics that happens late in November and December to see how the playoffs shape up.
Yeah, Parsons had a sack his first game with the Packers, right?
Oh,
This dude
yeah.
don't play the preseason, got back, and then comes back and get a sack. It makes, as a Cowboys fan, it stings me every single when I got to watch this, right?
Yeah,
It
man,
stings me.
I feel bad for you Cowboys fans. I mean, but I think unfortunately, like we talk about business and we talk about deals, I think some of the best deals are the ones that you don't do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they got to, in my opinion, they got to a point in Dallas between those two and Micah and the ownership that it was a point of no return. So let's part ways. You wish you the best success in Green Bay, and then wish us the best success, and we got to trade and let bygones be bygones.
Yeah. Quietly, man, I think the Packers, if they stay healthy, I think they're the favorites in the NFC only because of that defense. Defense still wins game. You know
no
this
question.
better than most. And so, like, you add a guy like Parsons, gets a freaking sack on his first game, and didn't even get acclimated to the defense yet. Something that you said to me, man, we were talking about this a while ago, and then I saw that you kind of changed the comparison a little bit, and it's on Jalen Hurts, right?
Okay.
You played with him before, played in Philadelphia, but you had said, when you told me that he kind of compared to Michael Vick, and then I saw a headline where you said, no, he's kind of like Tom Brady. So I'm going to give you which one is it? Is it a mixture of both? Like, what is it?
I think his composure and the way he looks at the game and understands the game, he has the acumen of the Tom Brady side of the world. Not saying Michael Vick by any means isn't very smart and very educated in the game in the game of football. Obviously, he's a head coach of a university right now. But I think when you look at Michael Vick, he had the great arm. He had the ability to run with his feet. So he's dynamic in multiple places. So I would put the combination of both of them is who Jalen Hurts is, which I think is an amazing compliment. And Jalen, being able to spend time with him this offseason, again over in Greece, but then even most recently in camp, he is determined to continue to set the bar higher and higher and higher, which is very hard to do, especially just winning a championship this last year.
Yeah, Michael Jordan doesn't come to everybody's games, and he was there. And so I'm thinking that Michael sees something special in a guy like Jalen Hurts. What did you see? Because you guys were over in Greece, and y'all have these interactions that the media don't see too much, right? Your phones are down. What did you see in him that maybe you didn't know, that maybe took you by surprise, that you're going to see that's going to help him on the field maybe in Greece?
Yeah, I like to keep things in-house, just because I like to have those conversations and keep them there. But ultimately, Jalen is going to surprise this world, not only in the sports world, but I think outside world. And his mindset and his focus and the people that he has around him and the way he embraces everything and soaks it in and then goes and makes very calculated decisions is gonna have this world on fire.
Yeah, do or die right now, right? I mean, give me a team that's going to be hoisting the trophy when it's all said and done. Injuries permitting, a lot of things can happen, but let's say that the main players stay the main players, the main guys stay healthy. Who's going to come out in the end? I already gave you mine. I said the Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to say with the NFC, and I think the Detroit Lions.
The Detroit Lions. Are you Homer? You just because you're drafted.
No. There's something special. I got to go to their camp this year as well, about 3 weeks ago. My buddy Jared Goff sitting there talking to him, like, and looking the fire in his eyes, and then seeing what Dan Campbell and that organization is trying to build, and then us also, Kelvin Shepard, their DC. We played together, and I mean, he's got them boys rallied to go, and you saw what they were doing against Green Bay earlier on in that game, and it's just a matter of time for them to get all comfortable and get into a rhythm, which is really what the first couple weeks of this NFL season are all about. Getting into that groove, and then getting into football shape, and understanding what we need to do as an organization to continue to win.
Yeah. I would not mind that, only because I would love to see the city of Detroit win. I mean, having been there a few times now.
Wholeheartedly, that is the only reason why. The players on that team, and then that city. I would love to see them see a championship.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Speaking of another city, last time you talked to the Oracle of Omaha. Last time you talked to Mr. Buffett.
We talked the other day. It was in and around, obviously, Berkshire, but a couple of days after that. So he's doing well. I mean, enjoy spending time in and around with him. But things are good. Yeah.
Do you find yourself maybe calling him more, or maybe trying to spend more time with him because he is getting older?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure he's going to start shutting down meetings.
Yes, for sure. Already experienced a little bit of that, but ultimately he's just one of the best, and he's always had an open door with me. And when he has time, he's always afforded it to me. So I always appreciate that.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, listen, man, off the field now because you're retired. In the podcast space, we mentioned it off the top, No Free Lunch podcast with the Athletic, New York Times, and take me inside of this partnership, because I'm just an outsider, man. Y'all, listen, we have a great day, but I'm an outsider, right? How did this come about? Like, what made you want to jump? because I'm sure you had a whole bunch of podcast offers. Mostly every athlete's getting them nowadays.
Yeah.
But why the New York Times? Why The Athletic? Take me inside this deal.
Yeah, it was interesting, and then I appreciate the question because it was probably about maybe 4 or 5 years ago I got first introduced to a group called Morning Brew. And Morning Brew really wanted to do a podcast, had an amazing deal on the table, and I got cold feet, just to be fully transparent. And I got cold feet because I just felt like I was not ready and I wasn't in the headspace to be able to do it. I was still playing, still things I wanted to accomplish, and I knew for me as an individual, getting into the media space was going to take a lot of energy out of me. And so I said, I'm going to respectfully pause and let's wait and see how things come. And then about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, some more conversations started happening, not only with Morning Brew, but Front Office Sports also reached out and wanted to do something. And I think New York Times Athletic got wind of that. And it's a small world, as we all know. And so started having conversation with all three. But when I really looked at it, the reason why I chose New York Times and Athletic is because, one, you've got the New York Times, a brand that is synonymous with success and legacy. And like you said, global. So them having offices here in New York, across the country, also in the UK, where I spend 2-3 months out of the year. And then Athletic, the new age, where kids and young people are gravitating towards, and being able to work with both sides was super exciting to me. And so that's really the reasons why I decided to do that. And I got an amazing opportunity and a great deal with them, and something that I can grow and build with from a long-lasting perspective, because I don't look at things from a short window. And I think a lot of people do, and I'm always all about long-term.
What are you learning about the podcast space? Like, I mean, listen, everybody has a podcast nowadays. I'm surprised my mother doesn't have a podcast, right? I might try to keep her away from it, but what are you learning about the space, and what would you offer someone, maybe a new age athlete who maybe wants to dabble in podcasting?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is finding your niche and sticking with it, and not being afraid to be going outside the box. And I think that's something for me that I notice a lot of athletes have podcasts, but they're in and around sports. They haven't really dove into the business side of things and the successes and failures. And that's something I really want to talk more about on our podcast is failures, and how do people bounce back from those different things? Because it's easy to talk about success. It's all about glory and all these different things, but talking about the failures, which is tough, I think that's where we're going to continue to dive in and see more success.
Yeah, I was going to save this for later, but you brought it up, right? I mean, because I don't think we do talk enough about failure. What's been Ndamukong Suh's biggest failure on the business side? What did you learn from?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest failures that I've had is, especially from
just the one that you always think about today, like, God darn it, why did I do that?
I would say there was one, and we all know Uninterrupted with LeBron James. There was, I can't even think of the name right now of the company that I invested in, but it was the same concept of bringing in content and producing this content and putting it on platforms. And we had to deal with Hulu, but it just wasn't the right timing. We were before our time, before people were ready for that type of service. And for whatever reason, we had BET executives, all these different people. Looked amazing, was great on paper, but it just, the timing wasn't there, so it failed and it folded. And so a mentor of mine told me, I see the vision, I understand it, but I don't think you should do it. And I did it anyways. And so that was one of my biggest regrets. And I don't really regret anything, because it was an amazing learning lesson at the end of the day of saying, just because you can see the vision doesn't mean the world can see it. And if you can't get the masses to understand it, what's the point?
Did you learn to never go against that advice again?
Yes, especially that mentor, for sure.
Don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again. So what's your day-to-day now, man, with your retire from the NFL? Like, what does Ndamukong Suh, when you get up nowadays, what's the first thing? I mean, I don't know if you check your Instagram like everybody else.
No, the first thing in the morning, especially Monday, Tuesday, I got a lot of weekly calls. So to being on the East Coast, I work out first thing in the morning. Luckily, I got to work out with my wife this morning, which is like the first time in like months.
You still work out?
Every morning.
Really? Is it hard to like let that routine go?
Yeah, I will never let that go, because one, I have goals that I want to reach from a health and wellness perspective, but I still work with my physical therapist, my naturopath, all my different doctors that I have, because I mean, the one thing you have is health, which creates wealth at the end of the day. If I can't function, I can't be living and breathing, what's the point of being here?
So that means you don't be eating cheesesteaks like I do.
No, I definitely enjoy, because my wife gives me a hard time for not trying to enjoy life. But yeah, I mean, working out, and then weekly calls, and then I really just kind of structure depending on what the week is and what the month is bringing to me, depending on where I'm at in the world.
Yeah. Take me back, man. Let's flash back right fast because every time I have people and I talk about you, sometimes people say, who? And I be thinking to myself, you don't know who Ndamukong Suh is, right? But you grew up in Portland, Oregon, right?
Yep.
I've lived there before when I covered the Blazers. I know it's an amazing town.
Yeah.
Amazing town. But what was that like for you growing up in Portland, Oregon back then?
Man, I loved every bit of Portland, Oregon. I mean, it's really who I am as a man or a young man at that particular point in time. But I still spend a lot of time back there, 3-4 months out of the year. My mother's still there. My older sister lives there. My baby sisters are just graduating high school. One's still in high school. So, one, it's an amazing city, a lot of great things. I think it's going to become the epicenter of women's sports, in my personal opinion, especially with the Portland Thorns and Portland Fire, the new WNBA team. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Blazers. I mean, there's a lot of rumors that are going on, and it seems like Mr. Tom Dunn is going to win the team, but I haven't seen an announcement from the NBA, so we're waiting to see how that all kind of comes together. But I think also we got a bad rep in the pandemic of seeing like, wow, like, it's a terrible city because we had these riots and we're the epicenter of after George Floyd incidents in Minnesota.
Well, they decriminalized drugs.
Yes.
They basically said, do whatever you want, we'll turn the other way.
We've started to pull all those different things back from a legislation standpoint, but ultimately, I mean, I still think it's between Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA, and San Diego. It's going to be always one of the most affordable cities on the West Coast, and that's why I'm a big believer in it. That's why I have a development company there.
Yeah, but it's not the most diverse place in the world.
It is not. It is not. But
so was that tough for you? Because when I got there, I had to drop my own biasness about just being black up there. I had to understand, okay, maybe they're not serving me right away because I didn't walk in the door first, and that person's in front of me, right? Like I had to drop a lot of that.
Yeah, there are some different things that you have to deal with for sure. And I think as we continue to grow and evolve as a city, those things will get better. And I think there's more people that are coming in and seeing that you can, as an African-American family or BIPOC family, come here and feel comfortable and be able to grow and grow your families here.
Yeah, but it is some great air and great outdoor.
For sure.
Great outdoors. Your mom, Bernadette, your mom, Bernadette, and your dad, Michael, he passed in July 2024.
Yep.
From Cameroon. What'd you learn from your parents?
Work ethic, especially from my father. My mother, education, being a school teacher, she instills it now, and she is on my butt right now about my boys and them only being forward and forcing them and pushing them as hard as we can on the educational side of things. And so between those different things is like, that's where sports has always been something that's centered to me, but not my end all be all. Education and using my brain and leveraging those different resources was something that I get from both of my parents. And my mom, to this day, like, she doesn't care how old I am, how successful I am, she's gonna still have her thumb on me.
Yeah. When you were walking around in high school, though, like, I'm sure you were like a big cat because you were on the football team, didn't play till late, but like, did people fear you when you were walking through the halls of high school? Like, they saw you coming to get out of the way, like, they're going down to back up?
No, I mean, I think people knew not to mess with me.
Yeah. But you did shot put too, right?
I did shot put, one state in shot put, but I mean, I think people who really, really know me, that I'm really just a big teddy bear at the end of the day, unless you make me mad.
Yeah. I should say that because you got this bad rep, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But did you always want to be a football player, or did something?
No, not at all. I love basketball first and foremost. Until this day, like, me and my wife are arguing about who's better basketball players, and she's obviously better. She went to college and could have went pro if she wanted to, but
your wife's better than you in basketball?
She is fundamentally. No, that's the key. I'm a winner though, so I make sure I win ultimately. But no, and then I grew up playing soccer since I was 3. And I get that from my dad's side. He played professionally overseas in Germany, and so ultimately just love sports and love being able to be active, just fun.
Yeah. You end up in Nebraska though to play, football. Why did you choose Nebraska of all the schools on this earth in Ndamukong?
Yeah.
Why Nebraska, right? It had to be something special there, but why that school?
Yeah, it's one, heritage of the of not only college football, but just understanding, like, to wear that N on the side of your helmet was something special. And then Bill Callahan was the head coach at the time when I was being recruited. A guy named John Blake, who recently passed, was at Mississippi State where my sister was. So my sister, I would always be with her in the summers and whatnot. And so she just like, you got to recruit my little brother. He's going to be good. So he started recruiting me. And he left Mississippi State, went to Nebraska, and that's kind of how I fell in love with the university. Yeah,
it's so funny because I went back to this story. It was 2019, I believe, ESPN, but they were talking about 2008. When Bo Pelini came, and you were still raw as a defensive tackle, and then he comes in and shows you how to, I guess, attack a gap between two offensive linemen, and it changed the way that you were structured as a football player. Is that when it hit that I could really do this?
Yeah, for sure, because Bo came in, and I don't know if you remember Glenn Dorsey. He was a top draft pick, and he was at LSU. They had just won the championship, and Bo was a DC there before he got the head job at Nebraska, and he was like, man, you're better than Glenn Dorsey. I'm like, what? I'm like, Glenn Dorsey's just about to be a top 5 draft pick. What do you mean I'm better than him? He's like, trust me. Like, I watched your film, and I've been eyeing this job because of you and amongst other players. And like, because I was going to go home to Oregon State and be like, man, forget football. I'm going to go home.
Transfer,
I was going to transfer, get home, and kind of relax. And my goal was always to get my degree, then help my dad build his business up from that standpoint. And so Bo was like, man, trust me, stay here for at least a year, if not 2 years. I will have you, if not better than Glenn Dorsey, just as good. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Yeah,
first round, 2010, Detroit Lions, and then obviously won a Super Bowl. Tom Brady helped you there.
No. Tom came to Tampa.
He did. Oh, you
came
already
to
there.
Tampa.
Yeah.
I was already there, and that defense was already elite.
Yes.
He did have a big piece on helping the offense get organized and successful from that standpoint. So let's have clarity on that.
You in the Bucks and helped you guys go to the Super Bowl. But it's so funny because everybody now is looking at that Tom Brady clip where he's talking about you and how hard you used to hit him, and then you try to give you a compliment, and you says, "I'm not your friend."
Yeah.
And you learn this from Steven Jackson, right? Because you say, when I step between those white lines, you're my enemy. Yeah. Steven Jackson, another dude who one might consider, he's a teddy bear, but on the field, he was like, yo, don't touch me if you're my opponent. I'm like this. Is that where you developed that from, like, when Steven Jackson first told you?
Yeah, Steven and I are good friends. And it was actually, I told him, like, even going, because he was playing in St. Louis, and for whatever reason, we played them a bunch early on in my career. Yeah. I was like, man, nah, bro, we're not friends between these white lines. But outside, we're the greatest, because he actually chopped me down after I got an interception off his quarterback, and it was fun, and I enjoy it. I mean, that's competitive edge, and I think winners are built that way and have that mindset. I recently saw something with Brian Burns and Jaden Daniels, where Jaden Daniels is trying to do what Tom does in a lot of respects, is saying, hey guys, like, I'm gonna butter you up, I'm gonna pat you on the butt, and so you don't hit me as hard. And Brian Burns is like, quit talking to me, Jaden Daniels. I'm trying to get after you and make plays. And so it's a good mental game, but it didn't work for me.
Yeah, but did it hurt you off the field, though, when it comes to business? Because people always still kind of give you that title as dirtiest player and all that other stuff. Like, did that hurt you in the business?
I honestly don't think it did.
It did?
I think what it did is it made people that were ignorant not be open to getting to know me and have a conversation with me. But I think everybody who has had conversations with me and has gotten to know me understands who I am as a human being, and understands all I wanted to do was impose my will. So it was my job to piss off your fans and your quarterback and your offense, and I wanted to be great at my job.
Oh, most definitely, man. Well, listen, when you have to describe your NFL, career in one word, again, you're done. What word would that be? 13 seasons, one Super Bowl, Tom Brady.
In one word, I'll give you an acronym. HOF.
HOS, Hall of Fame? Mm-hmm. That's what you're aiming? You think that's really
my goal.
Hall of Fame, really?
That's my goal. We'll see if it comes true. It's not my decision.
Are you eligible yet? You're not.
I'm not eligible yet.
Right, yeah, because you're retired in July. Yeah. How long do you have to do before you?
Somebody just told me, because when I was in Detroit, it was Dave Burkett who said he was going to actually be the one that presents me to the Hall of Fame list. He was like, I think I got 5 years. I got to wait.
Okay. So, but that's what your aim is, Hall of Fame.
Elite of the elite.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to be next to all those amazing
Some people
players?
don't care. Like T.O., I think he didn't really care. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I think in his heart of hearts he cares, but it's not going to bother him. And ultimately, hopefully I'm not in that situation, but ultimately it would be something I would strive for. No different than wanting to be an all-pro, Pro Bowler, winning a championship, all these different particular pieces. Everybody wants to have those accolades, not only from an individual perspective, but also from a team perspective.
Yeah. If you tell me, like, top 5 quarterbacks where you knew it was going to be a long day, right? Yeah. No matter how much you were going to hit them after, you knew it was going to be a very long day. Who's your top 5?
My top 5. Tom's got to be in there. Aaron Rodgers will be in there. I'd say Brett Favre. Who else would I give? I can't forget Drew Brees. Just did an interview the other day with him. Trying to think who would be my 5th. And I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out of there, but I would say Russell Wilson in his prime.
Wow, I'm surprised you didn't say Peyton Manning.
Oh, Peyton, of course.
You
Peyton,
can't leave out Peyton Manning,
definitely Peyton. I'm
looking
Peyton.
like, man.
But I didn't get the chance to play against Peyton. That's probably that much.
You never played against him?
I think I maybe played against him. I think maybe once or twice.
So you didn't see a lot of him?
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of him.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
But
because I don't think I ever played against him when he's in Indy. I think maybe once when he was
with Denver.
In Denver. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. So you dodged the bullet then.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Nah, I think I could have got to Peyton, but I know he's very efficient.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, you had, again, your dad retired died in July 2024, but you said that you weren't going to announce your retirement. You told Rich Eisen this.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you have announced it even if, your dad, God bless his life, would have still been living?
It was one of those things that I never wanted to, seeing it as, it's not something that is important to me to announce what I'm doing and moving on to my next life. But my dad was a big part of who I am and what I was about. And he had asked me multiple times, and I always reflect on it, unfortunately, that he was asking me basically that I'm dying and I want to spend time with you. So that was why he wanted me retired.
Yeah. Well, let's go inside your portfolio, man. Go inside of it. And one thing that I do notice, I wanted to get an update on. I think you told me it was about 124 units you were building out in Portland on the real estate side. Any update to that? Are they complete?
That's great. I just looked at a document or email the other day. I think we're at 92% occupancy. So
oh wow! It's already up.
No complaints. Yeah, we finished last summer, and it's just been grinding, trying to keep leasing up high and going from there.
They're apartment units.
Apartment units.
Downtown or is it
downtown Portland, and we call it Slabtown area.
Yeah. How tough was it to complete the project? Because you have a lot of people who are abandoning projects because of the cost of materials with tariffs.
Yeah, for sure. And we got in before tariffs and all those different things, but we were through the pandemic. We were dealing with construction, and there's a whole bunch of different things that were going in there, escalations, and so the project was definitely difficult. Not one of the easiest ones that I've ever been a part of, but obviously understanding that business and building in reserves and how that has to be done, we weathered those storms, and we have a great management company that's supporting us from a leasing perspective, and they've worked tirelessly and they continue to do so. So it's been great, and I've got a great team. Carrie, who's on my team, our COO, CIO, and some of our other support staff have done a great job.
Is this your first big apartment unit complex that you built?
One of my first ones. I've got other projects that I've built with my dad, not to that scale, but probably in between 10, 20, 50 units from that standpoint. But from a 100-unit perspective, yes.
What are you learning about that? Like you're a landlord now, obviously, you're putting out all these apartments. What are you learning about that process? Some people hate it. They buy some apartment units, they buy a house, and they say, I don't want anything to do with it because people can get annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely difficult, and I think that's where you got to have a really good management company to support you on that side of things, so you don't necessarily have to deal with evictions and tenants and different things that happen. And I mean, I just saw an email the other day that we had a flood, so we lost 2 or 3 units, and we had to redo those different things, and worked with Belfour, which is a great company based out of Michigan that I actually happen to know the owner really well. So seeing that support from those different people and having that connectivity and whatnot. But I love apartments. I've been in and around it since I was a little kid. Seeing my mom and my dad both have single family rentals, but also duplexes or quadplexes. Understood that people need housing. And we want that housing. So one, not only be able to do it on the affordable side of things, which is a project that I'm working on right now with an amazing developer that I will be very proud to announce at some point in time, but then also on the market rate side of things, building something that's special that people can call home, and they love that, being able to see the designs and things come to fruition. And so yes, it's difficult. It's not always fun because there's trials and tribulations. Interest rates don't help in this day and age. Tariffs don't help. But you find ways to work around those different things, and you work with your city. And I think the city of Portland is starting to understand that there's better ways to have processes to reach us getting more housing. And as, for lack of better words, the city getting kind of out of the way and letting the developers develop and work in, and because it's a hand in hand. The more housing, the more things we have, the better economics that we have, the better economy we have, the more tax dollars they get. So it works hand in hand. So let's just kind of perpetuate that and move that forward. So
the regulatory environment from the local and the city level is kind of,
they're starting to realize, let's start to work together. They recently just passed something around SDC fees, system development charges, where they're looking to waive those to incentivize developers to come back to Portland, because before the pandemic, early 2010 through probably 18, I mean, it was cranes everywhere in that city. And once they put in some new legislation, all the institutional dollars went away.
Yeah. Well, listen, another investment that you have, and this was kind of shocking for me. I did not know that you are an owner, a co-owner, you and your wife of Cinnabons. Like, how is it pronounced?
Kinnemans.
It's Kinnemans. Okay, Kinnemans, right? A bakery shop in Portland, and it was acquired by Craveworthy Brands, and he also backed Shaq's Big Chicken. Now, this is a restaurant holding company, and it looks like you guys are trying to franchise this out.
Yeah, that's the goal, and I think we've got
cinnamon buns. That's what you're specializing in. Cinnamon buns.
One of many things that I've enjoyed, but I mean, I've gotten this big without eating. So I love food, and Greg Majewski is an amazing guy. He's taught me so much in the hospitality space, and I've got great partners in and around that. And unfortunately, there were some trials and tribulations we went through, and I had to take over the companies from the previous founders. And over the last year and a half, 2 years, I learned a lot about hospitality, more than I wanted to. I know that I'm not an operator from that standpoint, and really found a great partnership with Craveworthy, and we brought that together. Now they're operating and running it, and we had some great investors that stayed along with me in the journey, which are excited to be a part of what's the plans are to build not only what's Kinnemans and Bay's Hot Chicken that have their own standalone locations, but also in the Moda Center where the Blazers play, and then the vision that Greg has with Craveworthy. So we're excited about it.
Are you still involved with the company, or does Craveworthy, they run it now?
No, Craveworthy runs everything, but I'm involved with Craveworthy. So I'm indirectly involved in all these different things, amongst other pieces, as you mentioned, Big Chicken with Shaq. Being able to work with them alongside those different things. We just had a couple calls the other day about his company. So there's a lot of cool things that have gone on, and I'm excited about. And
what are you noticing about people that like cinnamon buns? Like, I love cinnamon buns too, right? And I'm thinking like, man, this is a great field to go into, but what do you know?
So one of the reasons why I actually was really interested into it, it kind of came together during the pandemic. And if I'm not mistaken, Cinnabon is really the only place that you can really go get a Cinnabon without going on mom and pop, for lack of better word. So being able to create something there's a little bit more white space there. And so being able to franchise that, grow that, no different than you had Crumble Cookies, now you've got Dirty Dough and all these different people that are coming up from that standpoint. That's kind of how we looked at it. And I think the ingredients that we used was very top notch. And as we continue to grow, I want us to stay strong to that ethos. From that standpoint, and people loved it.
Hey, I mean, listen, everybody loves a good, nice treat. Right? Something sweet, a nice treat. And bakery cafes in the U.S., $18.3 billion industry, right? Pastries and cookies make up about $10.8 billion of that, according to IBIS World. So you're going into a great space, man. Are you going to get one in New York, a Kinnaman one?
We'll see. It's interesting.
Kinnaman's here?
You never know, because Craveworthy, if I'm not mistaken, just took over Gregory's Coffee. So
that's right.
It may be an opportunity.
Combine it. Coffee and cinnamon bun, right?
Yeah. So let's see what's happening. You'll have to tell Greg to do it.
I'm all in, man. And right fast, before I move on and get you out of here, man, an update on your partnership with Intuit, Suh Foundation. You talked about it off top, the National Financial Literacy Program. Any update there? What are you guys saying? Because I know you want to roll that out across the country. Yeah,
I want to continue to still grow. We're in conversations about continuing to expand, so we got to see where those land with Intuit, but hopefully we can continue to progress forward. But financial literacy is a core of our foundation no matter what. I talk about it on my podcast. I work on it in multiple different levels with multiple different people at different times. It's not just stuff that I do with Intuit, but that is a great platform to be able to continue to help and support people, especially our youth.
Yeah. According to Spot Track, just telling you what they say, you made over $168 million in your career. That's what they say. $168 million in your career. What would be your top advice to a young NFL player, maybe someone who was just drafted, about managing money?
Find a core group of people that can support you, and especially when you look at it from a perspective of not only attorneys, especially with the NIL side of stuff like that, but also importantly, a tax attorney is very important. Being able to help you make sure your accounting and all those different things are in order. And then when you want to and feel comfortable and have found the time to learn and understand the industry of stocks, bonds, and really the markets, find a top group in a big institution that can support you. And I think that's been really, really helpful for me, and it's something that I've aspired to do with not only an NBA coach, an NFL player, and a couple other people with a small boutique business that I've been growing, just kind of silently.
Yeah, when it's all said and done and you're ready to pass this empire off to your boys while you and your wife go play basketball somewhere. What do you want the name of Ndamukong Suh business empire to be? One word.
One word. That's a tough question, man. I would say impact.
Impact.
Yeah.
Why impact?
I feel like I impact people's life in a positive manner.
Except for on the field.
Yeah. Well, I impacted the positive lives of my fans and my teammates. So yes,
that's very true.
It wasn't positive for the other side.
Not every quarterback though. Not every quarterback. Get you out of here on some fun stuff, man. First million. I think I know how you made it playing football.
Yeah.
How did you spend your first $1 million? What did you spend it on?
I paid off debt in my family.
Paid off debt in your family. I love that. I was not going to say if I hit the lottery I was going to do that. It'd probably be the third or fourth option, right? But that's good.
There's some people that just hit the lottery. I think I just read this morning on Morning Brew that I think it's like 1.8 billion or something like that.
I saw that sign change when I was driving in the highway. Damn, who hit it? And was it me?
Yeah.
I didn't hit it. Yeah. So you spent it paying off debt for your family. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Outlook stuff, man. The NFL seems to be in a good place, right?
Yeah.
But we were talking internationally. All the places you're going to visit. When you look at football abroad, is it in a strong place, or how much growth does it have when you see it outside of this country? Because the NFL, they say they want to grow their abroad business to $1 billion industry. What are you seeing abroad?
I think abroad they've got nothing but runway. I think they've done an amazing job to where it was a decade ago to where it is now, but there's still a ton. And I see that not only in the UK, because the fans in the UK and the games that I call and I'm in and around and the communications I get, like, it's crazy. I walk around London and people are like, Sky? Like, yeah. And so they're really into it, but we got to continue to educate them. And that's UK, Ireland. We got to really get to Spain. We got to continue to go to Germany. We got to continue all the other European countries that really want to be into it. And I would love to see us eventually get to the UAE. Yeah, I think it would be fun.
Yeah, and listen, they're scouting around in Africa too.
Yeah,
NFL.
No, there's no question.
Yeah.
I think Africa's a huge market for us as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, speaking of that, man, look around the world. Where does Ndamukong Suh put some money at right now outside of this country right here? You have to go invest.
Wow, if I had to go invest, putting some money outside of the U.S., I think I'm following my buddies with Marcy Penn. And I don't know, we're going all over the world. We're going to pick and choose. It depends on what we're looking at. So,
yeah, I thought you were going to pick UK right off the money because you don't.
Yeah. I think the UK is there, but I think there's opportunities in underserved communities and opportunities. Like, I mean, I have an investment that's in India right now in some gaming stuff, which is pretty cool. There's some regulatory issues that aren't the best right now that could be a little detrimental, but we have a lot of runway, a lot of cash to be able to sustain those different things. I was just reading an email the other day, and so it just kind of depends on what we're looking at.
Yeah, India, man, their middle class is coming up.
Yeah,
1 billion people themselves. So your top 3 books that inspire you to perform your best or motivate you? What's Ndamukong Suh's top 3?
Top 3 books. I am not a huge book reader, but... So I'll throw it to you this way. I love experiences and I love spending time with people, and I would prefer to go have experiences than reading books.
Okay, that's like experiences in Greece with Michael Jordan.
Yes, for sure.
You can't beat that. Yeah. You can't beat it. I get you out of here on this, man. Good to Great, one of my favorite books from Jim Collins, the great Jim Collins. What's the difference between a good NFL defensive tackle and a great one?
Ooh. I love this question. The difference between a good defensive tackle in the NFL and a great one, the ability to adjust and adapt. Be able to play the run, then transition to play to the pass, and or have a combination, the ability to play the pass or play the run on the way to playing the pass. And then I think ultimately, outside of those things as an individual perspective, that player has the ability to make the guys around them better.
Right. Yeah. Well, you were one of the most feared guys, but you could not tell from his interview, man. I'm telling you, you could not tell that people fear you from this interview, man.
That's the way I want it to be.
Yeah, well, now you're retired. You got to. You can't have people scared to do business with you.
Yeah,
man.
For sure.
Can't do that. Well, appreciate the time, and Ndamukong, thank you so much, man. We got to get out of here. We got to go do your podcast.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming over to the New York Times after this.
Most definitely, man. And Ndamukong Suh here in the Enterprise Zone NFL season underway. Probably gonna get him back, talk a little bit more football. Yeah. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. See you next time.